Okay, so what we're doing here is we're doing a little releasing. You can go ahead and go into it, Mom. We're doing some releasing for tight chest muscles. So go ahead and put this hand behind your back if you can. So what we're having going on here is we're working through some stabilization issues for bench pressing. And we're trying to get her to get tighter in this area and have her lats pull her shoulder down and in, have all this stuff down and in, so the shoulders are nice and healthy during pressing. Anytime those things are loose, what we're running into is the pec minor on the front side is getting really tight because it's getting involved in the stabilization of the shoulder joint. So since it's getting tight, she's having some pains and some stiffness in the front of her shoulder and kind of just rounding forward in her posture. So what we're going to do for a little while is we're going to have her roll into the wall. So she's basically rolling a lacrosse ball across her chest muscles. And this position of the hand being back here just kind of exposes those muscles a little bit better. She's going to do that for about a minute on this side. And you go ahead and there, Mom. That's good. So that's a minute. I'll take the ball. And then we'll go over to the bands. So she would do a minute on each side. We might do 30 seconds. The time is up to you on how significant the issue is. So you can spend, say, 30 seconds to a minute, depending on your choice. We're then coming and doing a banded, kind of like a high shrug row. So she's pulling her shoulders actually down and back. And this is getting this area kind of like pumped up. So our goal is to stretch this and pump this. So normally the shoulder has been staying forward with this being tight and these being loose. We're trying to reverse that. We're trying to make this loose and these tight. So she's going to do a few rounds of this. So we might do, say, 3 rounds where it's 30 seconds on the ball, 15 reps of this. She does that for 3 rounds. And then we'll go into a dumbbell warm-up, which I'll show in the next videos. That'll further this, and it would be the step after this no longer feels necessary. Okay, so here we are for the next part of the kind of chest release. Is we're doing 30-degree incline dumbbell presses. If your chest is super tight, you might try this at 15. It might feel more comfortable and less front shoulder issues. So at the bottom of the press, she's letting herself stretch. So basically the weights are just kind of stretching out her chest. And we're doing, you can see this kind of 45-degree hand angle. You're just looking for whatever's comfortable on the shoulder and whatever gets the most chest release. So if you were fully flat like a barbell, sometimes that can be too aggressive on the shoulder if your chest is already tight. And if you're too neutral like this, you get into more triceps than chest. So some kind of weird angle in the middle is usually a pretty good stretch. So she's not trying to hold any tension at the bottom on her muscles. She's just letting the weights kind of sink down in. And the goal is here to do about 15 to 20 reps. There's really no pacing. You're just letting the dumbbells kind of pull you. And what she's doing here at the bottom, I was telling her to bounce a little bit if she needed to. But just try to get those muscles more stretched under that weight load. So we're going to do these for sets of 20. And then next we'll show is a high bent over row. So again, we're trying to loosen the front side, but tighten and pump the back side. Okay. Here's the rows that we would be pairing with those presses. So I was telling my mom is the rows we're actually looking for is a squeeze weight with a bench press. So kind of the upper shoulder blade between the trap area. She's not actually trying to squeeze her lower lats or anything. We're just trying to squeeze right in there. That's going to counter some of that tightness on the front side. So that's our goal. And again, we do it for about 20 reps. The idea is to do the same volume, or actually more, for the pulling than you would for the pressing. And then that's our position. So it's a little bit higher posture than a regular bent over row, but that's the pulling, is you're trying to get that upper back area. So she'll do 20 reps of this, and then usually we do about 3 rounds of 20 presses and 20 rows. And each week you might get progressively heavier, 5 pounds or so, or make some kind of progression as you go. But the idea is to get a pretty good pump in the upper back and a good stretch and loosening in the chest. Excellent. Okay, so here we are doing another set. We've moved up in weight. So just to give a sample progression of this stuff is, say in week 1, my mom is going to do 15-pound dumbbells for 20 presses and 20 rows. And then she's going to do a set of 17.5s, which is what she has now, for 16 chest presses and 16 rows. And then we might go to 20-pound dumbbells for 12 and 12. So again, that's 15 pounds, 17.5, and then 20 pounds. And we do 20, 16, 12 rep-wise. So then in her next workouts, she can either progress in reps, add 2 reps per set, keeping the same weights, or she can move to heavier weights. If she does the same weights and moves up in reps, that's better for kind of hypertrophy and keeping this more as a warm-up. If you want to develop more muscle and be more aggressive towards strength, you would add weight. Go ahead and go in the rows when you feel comfortable, Mom. So if you wanted more of a strength focus and more aggressive of a muscle growth focus, you would go heavier. So you would keep the sets of 20, 16, and 12, and instead of 15, 17 and a half, and 20s, she would next week go to 17 and a half, 20, 22 and a half, and then she'd go to 20, 22 and a half, 25. She would see she kind of progressed up a step in dumbbell weight each week. Or she would keep the same dumbbells the whole time, do sets of 20, 16, 12, then go 22, 18, 14, so on and so forth. So that's the idea of the progressions. You don't want to stay the same with what you're doing, because otherwise your body will stay the same. So make sure you make small progressions, but keeping the form nice and clean. Excellent job. Okay, so here we are doing our third round. I just figured we'd add a bonus video here. So my mom trains people at the gym, and her and I were going through this to kind of address an issue that she is having with the front of her shoulder. But we were also going through this as a trainer in learning the concepts and learning it so that way she could use it with her clients as well. So what we have been talking about over the last weeks and months of just us working together, continuing to develop myself as a trainer, and then also developing her as a trainer, was when you try new concepts, if they're a small concept, it's just a new exercise, and it's for small body parts, you probably only have to try it once, maybe at medium weights to get the idea of it maybe, before you can show a client. The idea when you show a client an exercise is that you already know it firsthand. So you have had firsthand experience with it, you know what it's going to feel like, you know the sensations they're going to have, maybe the complaints they're going to have, maybe better ways of doing the positioning. You should know what's going on with that exercise before you show a client. If it's a small exercise, just a variation of, say, a lateral raise, if you've done it once or twice in your own workouts, that's probably good enough to then know it well enough to share it. If it's a bigger concept, you want to have bigger effort on your end before you show it to others. You want to fully understand the concept before you put others through the work. So we have a general rule with our trainers here at Brutal Iron Gym, is that they never give anything to a client that they haven't first done themselves. And part of it is also learning it. You can put those up, Mom, if you want. So part of it is also learning it. So you want to make sure you put in enough effort that you fully understand what that exercise or concept is. Cool.